Sweet Child of Mine came up when Guns N' Roses was sitting in a house. The house was basically totaled. I don't know how long we'd been living there, but it was basically a shell, you know. And one afternoon, Izzy and I basically were the only ones that lived there at this point. And Duff had come over to visit, and Axl had come by, and Izzy and Duff and I were sitting downstairs. And I was just playing my guitar, and Izzy had his guitar, and it was in the middle of the afternoon. And where the riff came from, I don't really remember, but I started playing this pattern. And I mean, it was one of those things that I was in the process of discovering as I came up with each note and sort of turned it into something that kept rotating, you know. And then along the way, Izzy started playing the chords that went along with it, behind it. And I guess Axl had overheard us playing it. He was upstairs. And unbeknownst to us, he'd started writing lyrics. And a couple days later, I guess it was, we were at rehearsal and doing sort of pre-production or whatever. And Axl goes, "Play that song you guys were playing the other day." And I was like, "What song? What are you talking about?" Anyway, so it turns out that, you know, that thing that you guys were doing downstairs. So that's really where it came from. And the song more or less wrote it. All Guns N' Roses songs write themselves. There's no formula, there's no pattern, there's no, you know, sort of like style. Anyway, so this was one of those things where it starts with the riff, Izzy's got the chords, Duff just makes up some melody lines and stuff. And then Axl started singing it. And it really, the entire song sort of came together that evening. And then the sort of dramatic solo section, just, I think that was, you know, because the song to me was so, I always complain about it because it was so up-tempo, ballady kind of thing. Really rubbed me the wrong way. Even though I made up the riff, I didn't know it was going to turn into. And so I came in with the chord changes for the actual solo part, which for me was the only redeeming part of the song. You know? And right after that, we went into the studio, and we went in and recorded all the material that's the live bit that's on the Lies record. We also recorded some demos for Sweet Child of Mine and Jungle and whatever. And in that demo process, we got to the section where it says, "Where do we go now?" and all that. And I remember we had the breakdown, and then Spencer had mentioned to Axl, oh no, Axl's like, "Where do we go?" And that's how we turned it into. That really, the riff was like, the riff in the middle section were my main things. The actual chorus part, that was probably Izzy. You know, any of those simple three chord things, you know, is usually an Izzy thing. That's really the only two parts of the song before the solo section comes together. But we have sort of a synergy of each person sort of having an idea or an input that just to fill that gap when the other guy goes, you know. And it just sort of comes together. And we're sort of like, in those days anyway, we were very easy. I don't remember spending ever more than one day writing a song in those days, you know. Axl might have spent some time with the lyrics, but as far as the actual arrangement of the song, if it wasn't finished by the end of the night, all right, let's move on.